就是这个味儿啊！
摇摇晃晃啊，摇摇晃晃啊。
As the world is stepping into the new century, things are changing rapidly, including the cars we drive. Because nowadays, cars are not just burning gasoline, but also electricity. But me, a fan of outdoor activities, I wish my first car can take me further on my adventure with a relatively lower cost. And it turns out that a Chinese manufacturer has the answer I need. This is what I chose, the GWM Tank 300. Original Cooper ATT tire, pattern 4-wheel drive with such a reliable frame. It has the things that all cars should have. Seats are nice and comfortable. Level 2 driving assistance is on this car, as well as the infinity speaker. But why I choose this one as my first car? Stay tuned because I got some undeniable reasons. When talking about off-road car, one thing you can never miss is the fuel consumption. With 6,000 mileage, the consumption is around 21 miles per gallon. And the number is affected by those extra weight which comes from the things I added. On the highway it will be around 25 and normally 18 inside the city. As for the off-road, I won't be surprised it will be even close to 14. But the worst is when crawling inside traffics. Although that is not economic, but for a person like me who's using second-hand Tonner and Mac Mini, it is still acceptable because I think what I pay for is the lifestyle that I want. There are 3 different levels of steering sensitivity, and I always put on the comfort mode. That makes very easy on steering when cruising slowly, and it is very stable at a high speed. If the road condition is good, then I can activate the driving assistance. After adjusting distance and speed properly, then let the system to do its work. But don't think you can be totally relaxed. You need to put your hand on the steering wheel with some strength, otherwise you will hear the alarm. And if you choose to ignore it, the emergency call will be made by the system. Moreover, this driving assistant doesn't help you to change line. There's nearly no aerodynamic effect on this car. Braking hard before the red light, the head inevitably went down because the body's too tall. Under 50 miles per hour, you can still say it's quiet, but it was starting to hear the noise if you speed up a bit. Two-liter turbocharged engine drives 2.4 tons body. 0 to 60, it is said a little more than 9 seconds. But who cares about that? As an off-road car, this is what it meant to be. There are 2 things I wish they can add into my off-road edition. First, the seat memories. Despite the electronic control is very convenient, but if we can have at least 2 seat memories, me and my family wouldn't bother to change the seat settings every time. And the second one I want is actually something it's supposed to have. The auto-down window, which is strangely only available on the driver's seat. There are also some tiny design on the car that I do adore with. The sunroof, for example, because that's a smaller one that I like. Although the panoramic sunroof has a pretty good view, but I always think it's a bit dangerous if something has hit it. Then it's the buttons on it. Unlike those new cars with a giant touch screen, physical buttons are the majority on this car, like auto parking, EDS, EBP. The AC button are also added, so you can adjust the AC whether the car assistant is on or not. You can even control the voice assistant through the physical button. Once you are familiar with the locations, it will be so smooth to operate. Since I have chosen an off-road car, driving inside the woods on the mat is what I'm looking forward. Those thoughts was keep pouring into my mind until I went for a real adventure with one of the mature tank driver. The same standard configuration with the ATT tire, he went to many places that I wanted to go. Had crossed the mile that I couldn't cross. And it reached the high ground that I didn't think it's possible.
You are not yet familiar with the performance of your car. Stop thinking about brake all time when going downhill. You need to cooperate with the engine for braking.
Choose the right path and go through it by an elegant way instead of speeding like a fool. That is the lessons I learned from him. And I eventually realized that what I should be thinking about is not those upgrades, but my driving skills. As an ORV with just over 200,000 RMB, its interior is definitely not luxury, but it seems way more decent than most of the other ORVs. I'm happy it didn't sacrifice much comfort for the off-road performance, which is very crucial because I gonna spend a long time on the highway, no matter on the way to camping or off-road spot. But at the back seats, it's not that comfortable because you got a non-independent suspension at the back. The back seats are relatively narrow to fit 3 people, but 2 people will be fine. The rear door is covered by plastic instead of leather, and the passive keyless entry, which is a very good feature, but sometimes it's not functional. It is so bothering to take out the key when holding a bunch of stuff on hand. There is a 360-degree camera, but it's not 360-degree recording. So just in case, I put one recorder on the back. In the past 6,000 miles, it had accompanied me through the various road conditions. Sometimes on the country road, sometimes lost on the highway, and of course sometimes the off-road challenge. This time, I had to drive along with my colleagues into the south of the country. Burning gasoline was indeed much costly than consuming electricity, but it did gives me the confidence when headed out for exploration. When out of the city, it replaced the camp that I used to sleep, and the tent to become my living room. Chatting, playing, cooking under it. Standing on the roof like standing on a tree when I was a kid, observing the world from a special perspective. When the night falls, sleeping inside the car and enjoying the melody of nature. It somehow makes me feel home. And it is truly my second home that keeps me nice and warm. Whether it's hiking, riding, or driving, they are just different ways of discovering the world. The first 2 options was what I preferred before. But now I choose the last one, because it allows me to take my family or friends together to the beautiful place. Cars has expanded our exploring range, and what an ORV brought me is the confidence to step on a journey. And most importantly, together with the people I love. Well, this is almost everything that I can tell based on the past 6,000 miles experience. I'm glad that I choose the one I like. Unlike the other product which will be replaced normally in a couple of years, car for most of the family, it's not gonna be less than 5 or 6 years, sometimes even less than a decade long. As for the ORV, it is required to be even more durable and reliable. So why don't we just leave it to time? Nevertheless, a car like this has absolutely brought me the happiness that I never tasted before. Tank 300 Off-Road Edition Test V gives 8.25 as the subjective overall score. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. There are loads of other interesting videos in our channel. Click them to watch if you're interested. Remember, test TV, your passions are motivations.